Welcome back to Act 3 of Matrix Week, where this week we are reviewing the movie Matrix Resurrections.
For the week. So remember everybody, we're wanting all our faithful fans to subscribe. Go to
Actually, I think our faithful fans have already subscribed. What we need them to do is go out and multiply.
That's true.
Yes.
So before we start this, we need to talk a little bit about the drink that we have here that in honor of the kung fu that it takes place in this movie. It is a sake, which is obviously from Japan. This one is a Gakeken Horin Ultra Premium.
Oh, this isn't California sake?
No. Unfortunately, it's not made there. Junmai de Ginjo Sake Ultra Premium. Great sake for, uses 2 different rice. Excellent cold.
Actually,
of,
and if you want to know a lot more about this, well, they should go watch Act 1.
That is true.
We spend a good amount of time talking about this sake.
I know.
So
in the sake ceremonial situation, you have to serve the other person. So I'm serving Mr. JR, and he will have to serve me. You never serve yourself.
you serve this, and then you wash each other's feet. You know, that's another
Well, that could
tradition.
be there too.
Oh, okay.
But if you're Yoda, you definitely need it.
Yes.
Go to a previous episode.
Yeah, our cold open. All right, so what do we say, Dane?
Kampai for Act 3 of The Matrix Resurrection, the final culmination of the week.
There we go. There we go.
Very tasty. No butterscotch. You got some melon.
I think this is a simulation sake.
Lots of viscosity there. A nice aroma. If you're a big sushi fan, you gotta get into the sake side. And even if you're not, it's great with just whitefish. Anything that's on the milder flavor, because you want to bring out all the very subtle flavors that are in this. I prefer the earthy version, but you can get much sweeter sake. It's almost like a dessert wine.
Shout out to my childhood friend, Baku Kobayashi, who taught me about the Japanese culture, who is living in Tokyo and has invited me. Said sometime if I ever want to visit Tokyo, he would take me out on his motorcycle bikes. He said he owns a few.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm not going to tell him I don't know how to ride a motorcycle, but okay. And then he would show me underground Tokyo that the foreigners don't.
We need to go film out there, and then you can sit in the back seat. He'll drive you around.
Well, could you put me on the sidecar?
He has a side. So the irony of what you just said, or coincidence, is that I also have a Japanese friend, David Hisashi Watanabe, or Hisashi David Watanabe, who actually lives on the north side of Chicago, and he's the one who introduced me to the Japanese culture. And actually, he's a big comic book guy too. I actually inherited some of his comic books.
Is he a subscriber to Cult Lords?
I hope so. But
wait, have you even told him about it?
No, because we haven't touched base. We haven't talked for a long time.
You are not doing your job as a cult lord.
I'm going to have to ride my motorcycle up there to knock on his door and say, you need to subscribe, and then take off.
Okay. All right.
So what are we doing today?
We are talking The Matrix.
With who?
Keanu Reeves. And so this is Matrix Resurrection. So this just came out in the theater on December 22nd, 2021. Unfortunately for The Matrix, they released it on HBO Max December 22nd, 2021, the same day.
I know.
I'm telling you, this is doing movies a disservice to do this.
I know. I'm surprised they didn't wait on that a little bit.
Yeah. I think once they committed to doing this...
All those lazy couch potatoes that don't want to go to a theater.
Do you know how much it did at the box office in the U.S.?
No, I have no idea.
Or North American, I should say. $35 million.
Really?
Wah, 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 wah. Flop.
And then I wonder how much HBO gathered in streaming, newbies. Probably not a lot.
Not that much.
Yeah.
So worldwide box office, 125 million. Because once again, if you have HBO Max in the UK, what's to go watch this, in the theater?
I know. I agree. I mean,
so.
But are we in the Matrix right now, by the way? I think we are, right?
I don't know.
We're going to do this review from The Matrix in case anyone's wondering
where
we are actually at.
Yes. Obviously, this is not the real world. This does not look like the real world of The Matrix. We are in the studio of the Matrix. Right. Okay.
We both took the red pill.
Okay.
We are in the Matrix.
Thankfully, not the blue pill, because we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves. But the screenplay is by Alana Wachowski, David Mitchell, and Alexander Hemon.
Another one of those 3 screenwriter plays.
The Trinity. You get it?
Ooh.
Trinity.
I wonder if they did that on purpose. Lana's like,
don't
I
know.
need a third just to complete the Trinity.
I know. So, directed by Lana Wachowski, which is interesting because she did not do it with her sibling, Lily Wachowski. They were the ones that did all 3 of the original Matrix together. But for some reason, and I don't know why, I did not go look at why Lily was not involved in this Matrix. But so only Lana.
Had better things to do.
I guess so.
And make another 4th to the amazing franchise.
I know. So the movie stars Keanu Reeves, or what could have been Chuck Spadina.
Why Chuck Spadina?
So I told you this story yesterday at lunch, and we laughed so hard. So apparently there's a funny YouTube video of I think Keanu's on like Conan or something. And when Keanu was starting off his career, his agent said, "You know what?" And this is like in the early 90s.
Right. Keanu's a little too hard.
Keanu is too hard for people to remember.
Too cultural for a lot of these people.
Yeah, too cultural. You need to go change your name to like a movie star name. So Keanu said he had a day to go think about it. So he went to the beach. He walked around. He pondered. He was trying out all these names. He went surfing, did a little surfing out there while trying all these names. And he came up with a name. He came back and he said, "My name is going to be Chuck Spadina." So his agent said, "Let me sleep on that." And his agent said, the next day his agent called and said, "We're just going to stick with Keanu Reeves."
Chuck Spadina.
So
Jeff Spicoli. I think that's what he was going for.
So no Chuck Spadina, Keanu Reeves playing Neo.
Guys that got a lot of, as we say, irons in the fire.
He's got a lot of irons in the fire.
But they're all really good irons.
Yes. He owns a motorcycle company.
Arch Motorcycle Company, which is Keanu Reeves and another couple other people's.
He owns his own comic book run.
Berserker just started up here. This is all the Berserker comic book run.
By the way, Berserker, get to know that because Keanu Reeves is going to make a movie of Berserker.
Yep.
And he's going to play the lead character. So, Carrie-Anne Moss as Trinity.
Yeah.
And then we have some newcomers like Yahya Abdul-Mateen playing Morpheus. Does that sound right to you?
No,
How about
confused at first.
Jonathan Goff playing Agent Smith?
What? Not
Does that
Hugo
sound right?
Weaving?
No. Neil Patrick Harris as the analyst and Jada Pinkett Smith as Niobe. So there you have your main cast, and then there's a bunch of newcomers
side
in it.
cast, yep.
Yeah, a lot of side casts, but the movie summary listed on IMDb: return to a world of 2 realities, one in everyday life, the other what lies behind it. To find out what is the reality, which reality is a construct, to truly know himself, Mr. Anderson will have to choose to follow the White Rabbit once more.
Once more.
Now, we'll try to show you some clips. But this has not been working out with HBO Max TV shows lately. They hit everything we show with copyright claims.
Right.
So you might get some cut up clips with different voices underneath it. Maybe we'll put...
And it's all for entertainment and criticism purposes, fair use. We're trying to use these valid things to demonstrate our critical abilities, and unfortunately we get stopped at every avenue.
Yes. So here's our attempt at some clips. So I'm interested to see what you saw. Did you see what we intended you to see? Or did the Matrix take that out and put a copyright claim on that. I don't know. We'll have
never
to see.
know until
we
we
never know
upload.
until we upload. So we will see. So, Dane, what is the message we want to give to
All
our
right,
viewers?
the message is we are going to be discussing heavy spoilers. So skip to this time above our heads and jump to that point at the end where we will skip all the spoilers and we'll give you our rating of the movie. Our fresh new rating, by the way, because previously we had already reviewed this movie when we literally walked out of the theater.
Yeah, here's a little clip of that.
So this is an odd one. Such sacrifice of ourselves out here to weather the elements. It's freezing.
Yes. So, all right, Dane. Well, without spoilers, what's your initial thoughts of the movie?
I like to digest movies a lot, but my initial thought here is 7.8.
I'm giving it a 7.9.
And we did not talk about this.
No.
Every time we say this, we do not talk about this.
So,
But
this is
7.8, 7.9.
Yeah. What is an odd one, Dan? What is an odd one?
This one is an odd one in that we've already reviewed the movie in a very specific time frame. Now we've had time to redigest it, and we're going to do another re-review.
Do people redigest things? You digest it once.
Like cows. We're going to be like cows.
Redigest it?
We're going to redigest our curds.
Oh, okay. It's kind of gross, but
Well,
so we
has to
have
work that way.
We have given what we called a COVID rapid review. You know, it's only 66% accurate.
walk out the door.
Yeah,
tell
we
you what
walked
you
out
feel,
what we
you
thought,
think.
but now we're doing our PCR test of this movie, and we're going to give you a more accurate review. So
Yep.
it'll be refined.
It will be much more refined and thought out, and hopefully resonates with all our viewers and they agree. Because of course, once we do this review, we were loving if you could give us some commentary. We
Yes.
want to hear what you guys thought about the movie. If you agree with us,
Yeah.
if you don't agree with us, if you have other references that we should touch on, but let us know in the comment section down below. So what are we doing? Act 1.
Well, the opening scene
The
first.
opening scene.
It's the Matrix again. We see Trinity in there, right? That's Wayne and Garth. Isn't it?
Right. It's the Matrix, Wayne and Garth.
Yeah, so we're in the Matrix, but we see some new
Well, we don't know that because we're sitting in there with some new characters.
but they're obviously seeing things that seem very familiar to us.
Looks like the original Matrix with with Trinity sitting in that tight office with the guard, for lack of a better word, the feds, the guys that looked what do they call them? Not the officers.
Agents.
The agents coming in to get her, and they're sitting off camera, off to the side, like, this looks familiar, but something's odd about this. And then, from our standpoint, the audience, the camera originally looks like they're recreating that original scene, and then they all of a sudden turn and like, well, that's obviously not Carrie Ann Moss, not Trinity. And so they watch this, they witness all this going forward. It looks exactly almost like
but
the
something's
original.
off. And
something's off.
And these people that are the new characters keep saying something is wrong with the construct.
Right. Like, who's creating another replication of that original Trinity/Neo storyline?
Is it Dorpheus? I mean, Morpheus? Do you know what I'm referencing?
Dorpheus?
Do you know what I'm referencing?
What was like Dorothy and Dorf?
No.
Dorpheus.
You know how we do cold opens on Star Wars? there was an office cold open one time where Jim was tricking Dwight into thinking that he was in the Matrix. And so, you remember the guard downstairs? That was the African American guard downstairs.
Right.
He paid him to play Dorpheus. we'll put a link to this clip. You've got to watch it. It's so
Dorpheus. Yes, Dorpheus is showing up. But so they're watching that. They're wondering what's going on. It plays out just like we all remember it, but then it's different characters. And so they're like watching it. Then they go up on the building. She comes up there and she's like, wait a minute, this looks so much like it. And then all of a sudden, somebody occurs to them like, well, maybe this is a trap. And then, of course, the helicopter comes up and they're looking for her and her comrades. So obviously this whole thing was set up as a sting operation to try to catch this group that has been, playing illegally in the Matrix.
Playing illegally in the Matrix. And so then that's how this movie opens. And so then what we find out in Act 1 is we see Neo, waking up to a beautiful sunshine. Mr. Anderson, right?
Yeah, he's not Neo.
Yeah, he is.
He's won Gamer of the Year.
Yeah.
You find out he's gaming.
He's created a video game. Was it called The Matrix, or was it
called The Matrix?
So yeah, it's been about 9-10 years since that hit, and they're looking to create a Matrix 2 like video game, right?
Right. Yeah, something that to continue with the great amount of profits they made off the original Matrix. So the big joke here, what do you want to call it, is obviously Neo, Thomas Anderson, is alive and well, but he's not in. You don't know if he's in a Matrix or not because they bring him back to reality.
All right.
And you find out he works for a gaming company. And the gamers, all his buddies, everyone's there like, oh, you're a big stud on campus.
Oh, he was legendary,
Right, so he created a game called The Matrix.
Yeah.
And it was legendary in the world, and, now the company's trying to come up with something new because profits are tight. We might have to lay some people off. And so, while he's talking to that guy who coincidentally looks like Agent Smith, the way he talks, yes. Go ahead, you can do an Agent Smith, I'm sure.
Mr. Anderson, have you ever gazed out upon the Matrix, observed its beauty, its genius, all those billions of people living oblivious to their own lives? That's about as good as I can do.
A little Carl Sagan mixed in there with billions and billions of, but awesome nonetheless. So we were talking about Morpheus earlier. The only way you're going to learn more about Morpheus is you're going to have to pick the blue or the red pill for your sake. If you pick blue, we end this review right now, which I'm sure a lot of our viewers would probably be like, thank you.
Yeah, how will you choose? The blue?
Which one would you choose, blue or red, viewers? Or red, we get to explore in depth for many more hours.
You keep saying blue and red pills, but that looks like melange to me.
Ah, yes, the melange from Dune. It's strange. I know. There's a crossover here again.
I know. We've mixed Dune into this, old, free guy, we're mixing everything into this. So I guess I shall take the red.
The red. A little tiny bit is all you need.
We can go down the rabbit. Well, I just want to go down the hole a little further. All right.
All right, I'm gonna put some blue in mine.
Some blue?
Some blue in mine.
Well, you should take a little...
Switch it around. Look how instantly
you
blue
should take a little
blue
melange between your cheek and gum.
A little chip between the cheek and gums?
Yeah, let's see that.
How's that?
Pretty smurfy. You know what? Let's smile again. Oh, new definition for Bluetooth right there,
Well, you chose
red. Am I red?
No. Surprisingly, why am I so stained?
I don't know.
Man, even my fingers are stained.
All right. Well, I chose to talk a little bit more about Morpheus. You apparently want to end the interview right now. Or the review.
All right. Well, then I guess we're going to end right
now.
Yeah. But Morpheus, you got to remember, that guy was... we were talking about how the... why Lawrence Fishburne didn't make an appearance.
Well, we haven't talked about that. But
off camera.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. I actually went and Googled that as I was taking my notes here, and apparently, when he heard that there's a Matrix coming out, he was expecting a call. Never got called, and then he started making calls around, and they said that they didn't have, any room for him in this. then he sees the trailer with a Morpheus in it. So he's like, what the heck, man? But, and same with Hugo Weaving. So I think they wanted to save a little bit of money and not have to pay those guys.
I could see that a little bit, but it makes sense in the story, the way it worked out. I mean, because there's a 60-year difference from the original last Matrix timeline when Neo and Trinity kill herself to this one.
Yeah.
And they talked about that in the movie where the reason that they're still alive is if you all remember, they died.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The analyst says he got a lot of his nanobots and robot technology to basically rebuild their entire bodies.
Right.
So, in essence, they resurrected the two of them. And they had
that's tying into the title, Resurrection.
Isn't it amazing how that works, the titles?
Yes.
But
I bet a lot of people didn't get that, actually.
I know. And so, I got to say, that was a really key part of the movie that they completely glossed over. I mean, right? Did you even remember that was in there?
No.
It's such a minor part.
Before we even taped this show, we were kind of talking a little bit about, you totally reminded me of how they were resurrected with like nanobots, and I had to like think about that, and I was like, I totally forgot about that. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, they made no big, huge thing about that in the movie.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's a title on your marquee. What's
I know.
going on with this?
Yes.
And so from Morpheus, he's been dead for 60 years because, well, I don't know how long he's been dead for, but when they get down to the I.O. area, and Niobe is walking Neo through there, you see
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Right, you see the big statue up and all the candles, which she kind of implied represented all the souls that had died in Zion, because when Neo and Trinity had killed themselves, you kind of learn that Zion continued, but they wanted to continuously fight against the machines, and it was, from Niobe's opinion, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a catch-22. They not back themselves. In other words, they never could win. It was, I forget what the name of that is.
Kobayashi Maru?
Yes, very similar to that.
Okay.
And so
unwinnable game.
Yes, unwinnable game. But he's been put up as an homage. There's a statue for him in the new I.O. area where the humans live. And and so Lawrence Fishburne is not making an appearance in this particular movie, in case you were wondering.
And by the way, I keep wanting to say Dorpheus, Trinity, and Dio after that Office bit, but so the interesting thing about it is, so once the people we were talking about earlier that were watching the construct, right? Mm-hmm. And they kind of grab Neo and meet up with Neo in the bathroom that we talked about, and they explain who they are. They want to give him a blue pill or a red pill, right?
Right.
But he doesn't want to take the blue pill or red pill.
Yeah, he's freaking out.
Yeah.
He's not ready to go, basically.
Yeah.
And then they have to convince him a little bit more, look at the mirror, I can put my hand through it, that's the Matrix. He's like, no. And then he runs off into the hallway, and there's all the guards come up there, because obviously the analyst is freaking out, so he wants to go and end Neo from a virtual reality construct, or capture him at least. And so then the new Morpheus, which they never really called him anything different. That was the big thing, is they still called him Morpheus.
Yeah.
So the new Morpheus helps him out. There's a lot of gunfire all over the place, really close gunfire.
Going through the walls.
And all that, and then he gets him out of there.
Yeah, he gets him out of there.
And meanwhile, but Neo's boss turns into Agent Smith.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in that scene alone, to what you said, that there's a big problem with this movie, in that you don't feel any kind of threat.
Right.
The main characters are all virtual. Guns are literally 3 feet away from him, firing off like crazy, and they're all over the place. And I think this was a lazy moment for the director. Lazy in that they put no thought into any gunplay whatsoever. They basically said, put the main character out there and let's just shoot at him and then have him run, and that's it. I mean, I know it's a virtual reality, but you got to base it in reality.
He did do one of his little things where he stops the bullets.
Stop the bullets.
Yeah.
So he escapes. He jumps out. He gets pulled out into the real world.
Yeah. Well, the humans that are in the Matrix, and they're kind of the runners, right, of Niobe and her team.
Bugs and her team.
They actually have to kick him through, right, and get him through or pull him through, and he goes through like a mirror or something like that. They come through a mirror, but then I don't know. They're in like the real world or something like that. So he actually wakes up, in the real world.
Yeah, and meanwhile they pulled his body out of the
they pulled his body because they had been searching for his body.
Right.
But they now take him to a new city in the real world, Zio, right? Io.
Yeah.
So there used to be Zion. Excuse me, I'm thinking Zion, and now this is Io, which is, by the way, isn't it a planet of Neptune? Io.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Or a moon. One of those.
A moon. I said a planet.
Yes.
A moon.
Oh, Neptune is the bigger one, or is Jupiter the big one? But yeah, that's
Jupiter's the biggest.
Yeah, Jupiter's the biggest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they pull him out, they bring him out, they introduce him to the whole new world that is actually the real world, where he gets to meet the 60, I don't know what old age she is, Niobe.
She's 60 years later, so
very
she must have been in her 20s, because now she's probably 80, right?
And I didn't even recognize her. I mean,
I recognized her.
You did right away? I was like about to look on my phone. But that was one thing I will say that was nice in the movie. They pulled in and they showed different clips of the old movies so that you kind of knew like what they were referencing.
Right.
Especially if you haven't seen them for maybe 20 years.
Right.
So
and what was interesting is what's Neo's first thing he wants to do? He wants to go get Trinity. Right? Because that was the love of his life. And they're like, Niobe's like, you can't go get Trinity because that will start a war with the machines.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying for 60 years to stop, because Morpheus wanted to continue fighting the machines.
They've been hiding the whole time.
Right. Morpheus wanted to continue fighting the machines, and that's what got him killed, right? Is what she says.
Yeah.
But now she's been in hiding and she wants to stay that way. But all of her new kind of runners, they're like in their 20s, 30s. They weren't around.
They're like millenniums.
Yeah.
They're like those darn millenniums.
They're Matrix millennials. And they wanna fight the power. They want to fight the machines. And Neo to them is like, the legend. And here is the legend standing right in front of him.
He's like Batman, Dark Knight Returns. He's been gone so long, he's become a myth.
Yes.
And that's actually, that particular set of sequence scenes is that when they introduce you the first time that the machines are sentient and are friends. There's another group of sentient machines that have become helpers and joined the human cause.
Right.
And have helped them grow strawberries and other things. But also, Niobe finds out that one of her close sentient friends has been hiding a secret from her for so long.
That she knew where Neo was all along.
Oh, yeah. And that was a big scene that unfortunately completely downplayed in the movie.
Yeah.
And so it was cool to see these sentients hanging out with the humans and showing them how to do things. There was a lot of cool techniques going on in that.
It was cool to see, like, when they flew into Io for the first time and you see what this world looks like, right?
Right.
They did a lot of, like, kind of world building shots, and it was beautiful. But what does, of course, Niobe do with Neo? Does she pat him on the back? Does she thank him? Throw a party for him? No. I'm going to
lock him up.
Lock you up. Because we cannot go get Trinity.
Yeah, no, Trinity would be too much. The two of you together would cause too much problems. So you're in the timeout zone.
And as her subordinates they want to break him out, so they're like, we got to go help him. So along with the new Morpheus,
he's in the Rapunzel Tower.
Yeah, he's in the Rapunzel Tower. He's in the highest tower in
overlooking everything in the
Io.
city. Yes.
They break him out and they take him out of Io into kind of like the borderlands in between where the humans live and the sentients are centered.
Mm-hmm. So they craft a scheme. They're going to get in there and they're going to get Trinity out. But what are they going to do?
Well, they've got to convince Trinity to leave on her own accord.
Right.
And they ask, well, does she have to take a pill? like the red pill. And they said, no, she doesn't. She just simply has to make the choice. That's the Indian oracle, right? She simply has to make the choice. Now, since we know where her body is, we'll be camped out right by her body.
Ready to pull the thing out, put it in the other, or like there's a mind meld for a little while there.
We'll be ready to pull her body out
Bugs character.
And get her away before the sentients know where she is. But you got to convince her first. So they get Neo, they get their team together, and beep, 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 they dial back into the Matrix. And now they're off to go get Trinity, who owns now
a motorcycle
now named Tiffany.
Tiffany, sorry,
and has a family,
right?
And kids,
2 kids. Chad, husband, who's a douche, But she owns a motorcycle custom shop.
And what motorcycles are they?
So, they've set up a meet cute at a coffee. Once again, the coffee shop motif. Which, come on, you got motorcycles, you got all this other stuff. They set up that, and they're like, you're gonna set it up. She's gonna meet, and then the analyst, Doogie Howser guy, is going to sit there and say what?
Oh well, so what happened? Well, first, before they get to the coffee shop, some hijinks ensues because the analyst knows that they're back in to the Matrix, right? So he meets up with them prior to this coffee shop. And they have a fight. Remember, they have a fight.
The really new technology for the movie, the slow motion. And it was cool, but man, was that overplayed.
But in the end, Neil Patrick Harris, Doogie Howser, says to Neo, listen, I know what you're doing here. I know you want to try to get Trinity, but I've programmed her as Tiffany, and I programmed such a life for her that she's not going to want to leave. And I'll make a bet with you that she won't want to leave. If she chooses no, then you, Neo, are mine. But if she does want to go, I'll let her walk.
A Faustian offer.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, no.
We're going to keep to this?
No.
I know, and the Saki...
I was waiting to see if you slipped up.
I wasn't sure if you were watching or not.
Oh, I was watching.
All right, he was watching his drinks. Kampai! Saki for the week.
Blue and red.
Red.
So Neo says, oh, I'll take that bet.
Right.
So when they walk into the coffee shop, it is surrounded by all these agents, all these police officers, and if you remember, the analyst can take anybody in the Matrix and kind of take over their mind and use them. Remember, the agents used to do this back in the Matrix. So he can do this too. So he's got them surrounded by SWAT teams and police. And so when Neo walks in, he's walking through hundreds and hundreds of guards. And he sits down on a chair to wait for Trinity
to show up.
Yeah, which she does.
Yes.
So she shows up, and she has to walk through all these guards. She's like wondering what's going on.
Yep.
And then that's where Neo exposes to her who he is,
right?
How they had a life together. Her name is Trinity, and as he's telling her and he's touching her, she does keep getting some glints of memories.
Right. They show some of that.
But then what happens? Her kids and her husband come running in.
Mom, honey, your sister, I don't know who it was, broke their arm in a motorcycle accident. We need to go to the hospital. So she's getting dragged out. And
and she goes back from thinking little thoughts of Neo to suddenly, I got responsibilities. I'm a mother.
Right.
There's my husband, Chad.
I gotta get back to my good life.
Yeah. So she starts walking out. And, everybody thinks that, the analyst won, right? So they start getting ready to take Neo out.
Well, Neo's kind of he realizes she's not going along with this, and he made the deal with the devil. So then they're all ready to beat the crap out of him, and as she's about to walk out the door, what ends up happening? She suddenly realizes that comes the culmination in her mind that, wait, I need to be with him.
Right.
And then turns around and starts going back in, and that's when chaos ensues. There's a giant battle. They're all like throwing people around. The analyst is going to take them over.
And they're just trying to get through all these people just to touch
each other.
Like,
the analyst is like, no, don't let them do it. And then what ends up happening? Agent Smith shows up and basically puts the analyst down.
Yes.
I am not going to be your lapdog anymore.
And what happens
I'm in charge.
What happens when Trinity and Neo touch?
Right. A giant explosive force goes out, force field, and knocks everybody all over the place down, and that's it. They're walking out of the place.
Yeah, suddenly they realize together they have power. You know what it reminds me of, Dane?
What?
Wonder Twin Powers activate! Form of an ice bucket.
Form of a Yeti monster who loves ice buckets.
Yeah.
Right, Wonder Brother. And for that, we'll need a little Exor handiwork.
Wonder Twin Powers activate.
Form of a seagull.
Shape of an ice gondola.
He could only be like forms of water.
She was like organic, like a dolphin that needs to throw an ice bucket.
It was always like an eagle, and like the eagle would carry the ice bucket.
Right.
If you don't know what we're talking about Jan and Zayna from the Super Friends, from the
old
70s.
Saturday morning
cartoons on Super
Justice
Friends.
League. What's it called? Justice
Well, it's called
League?
Super Friends.
Was it Super Friends?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Super Friends. Trust me, I have
And then
this
it was
on.
the League of Evil. What was it with
the
Dr.
Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom.
Those were the bad. Lex
You gotta
Luthor.
bring those guys back. The Legion of Doom.
Yeah, that.
Deep within a bleak and dismal swamp, hidden beneath its murky waters, lies the headquarters of the most sinister villains of all time. A Legion of Doom.
They're making a comeback.
So we have digressed, okay?
Just a tad.
Just a tad. We're chasing our own rabbits down their holes.
So we get to the point now, right, where they've run out of the building. They're about to, and conveniently, she loves motorcycles, so they get on one of her motorcycles and they take off. Well, the swarm has happened. The analyst has basically invoked some kind of command protocol that everybody in the entire city now is an agent.
Right.
And they just start full on, almost, it was like a weird zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, because what happens, they're going through a downtown area with high-rise buildings, and people who are on the 25th floor are suddenly getting this programming, I need to get Neo, so they're busting through their windows, which I don't think it happened in real life, but they're busting through their windows and dropping 20 floors, trying to bomb Neo.
Bombs. Yeah,
it was like Angry Birds with people.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
as they're weaving in and out of tanks and explosions and people and bombs, and Neo's using his force. She's driving, obviously. He's hanging on the back, using his force to block them away, but they get roped into a corner, a kill zone, where the helicopters start shooting at them, and they go up the building.
Yeah, so they get out, they go up the building. They're now on top of a building, and the helicopters are coming, and they realize there's only one thing we can do. We got to get to the next building.
Right, after they've taken all the guns out and all the missiles out, and they're like, let's go.
Right, and if you remember from the original Matrix, the jump was a big part of Neo realizing who he was. So, Morpheus always wanted him to do the jump. He thought he would do it on the first attempt. But if he can make the jump from one building to another building like a superhero, then Neo could get over the realization that, what the Matrix was and how powerful he really was. So we're expecting Neo knows how to do this now, right?
Yeah, by now.
Yeah.
And so they both grab hands, full on run off, jump into the void off the building, and then what ends up happening? And Neo keeps like, and then all of a sudden, he's hanging.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not doing this. What's happening? And Trinity has somehow figured out how to fly.
First of all, she's just kind of levitating, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. But she's realized, hey, you know what? I've got the power to fly, which is a power that Neo had in the original movies, but in this resurrection that he's had, there's some powers he doesn't have anymore. Because they asked him earlier, hey, do you still have the flying power?
Right.
And he goes, no.
No, he tried it.
He tried. And it was like, he jumped to light speed in the Millennium Falcon.
Somebody, what the heck? heck's going on? What's this piece of junk? But they taught a little bit of a mention about, we were talking about this earlier, with the nanobots rebuilding their bodies. They must have mixed a little bit of the DNA and the little physicality between the two of them. So she got a little bit of Neo and he got a little bit of her.
Yeah.
So she basically flies them out of there.
Flies them out of there.
And they're both rescued.
And that's when they go off, and that's when they realize together they have the power, right? So they return to the Matrix. This is kind of the ending scenes.
Yeah.
They've returned to the Matrix and bust through the wall of the building where the analyst is, and they're standing there. Well, Trinity's standing there.
She's standing there, right?
Yes.
She basically kicks him the poop out of him, breaks his jaw and all this stuff, and she's like, really, Tiffany? That's what you named me? And of course he was like, what? You loved your life. And then the two of them, then Neo walks out of the back with the cat, stroking the cat, because he can't fly, but of course, how did he get there?
I don't know.
And then, they basically tell him, hey, we're in charge now. This is
we're
the rainbow world.
We're going to reprogram this world, and it's going to be a much different place.
Yep. And that's it.
That's it. That's it, the movie. Now, Dane, we saw this movie 3-4 weeks ago. We saw it on December 22nd when it came out. And we gave it ratings right as we walked out, and we were fresh, okay? I'm just curious, what, if anything, would you have done different?
Oh, what would I have done differently? This movie had so many things that.
Do we need another hour?
Yeah, can I get it? Can I get another hour? Are we long? Where are you at? Like an hour already? Can we get another hour, please?
Yeah, we don't have that much time.
Sorry. You got motorcycles in there? Why didn't they meet with motorcycles? Keanu could ride motorcycles. Why would you make it a coffee shop? Why isn't it something more exciting? What happened to Agent Smith? After he takes over from the analyst, why didn't he just become the big man in charge and go after Keanu?
Why couldn't you cast Lawrence Fishburne and Hugo Weaving and come back and play those roles?
They could have had him, yeah.
I guess it was money. But, I mean...
It could have been so much better.
The action in this movie was, big-time action.
When it happened.
But for me, it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't the action I wanted to see.
Because you never thought the character would die. I mean, you never felt... There was so many scenes where you can just see, the gun's basically pointing right at him.
Right.
And nothing's happening. What's the point? If you're not going to make it look risky, then... And that was a big failure in the movies. They never established in this movie, if you die in the Matrix, you're dead in real life.
Right.
They never pointed that out.
Right. And, and Neo, when we last saw him, was in God mode in a video game. He could fly, he could do this, stop bullets, and he did stop some bullets, but he didn't have the same abilities this time that made him more powerful than the other people.
Yeah.
So it was just, I don't know.
Too many loose ends, too many better ways, too much talking. It was so much that whole scene where, for instance, the Indian
Oracle,
the Oracle, that entire thing around the fountain, really? You had to sit there and have them talk to each other for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Explaining how to do your plan?
Yeah.
That was stupid. Where in the Matrix, or the real world, she's this very majestic, invisible, flying, sentient. So dumb to bring them out, because the stupid thing about that is there was an implication that meant Niobe had to be jacked in. Because to be in that scene.
Yeah.
But it was would she really go do that? Why wouldn't she just go talk to her?
Right.
There was just so many dumb things that there was a director's just got lazy about.
And then, I don't know if this would have made the movie a great movie, but it would have made this one scene better. What would have been awesome is when Trinity realized she wasn't Tiffany and she turned around to go to Neo, I would have loved to seen her fight her kids. And they're you know what I mean?
That would have been awesome. Her kids are let's go.
And they suddenly become badass little kids, taking her out. And she had to fight her kids. Come on, Mom. You know what I mean?
But that would naturally make more sense, because in a computer world, you're just gonna whatever's there, send them at them.
Yeah,
you're not gonna there's some moral implications.
Keep the minors over to the side.
Oh, man, what a disappointment. So
well, you know what, Dane, I think now is a good time for us to bring in the masses so we can do our Cult Lords ratings. So for all the fans that decided to skip the spoilers, we're going to bring them in now, and we're going to do our our Cult Lords rating. So come on in.
Come on in. Come back.
All right, everybody. You are back, hopefully. Maybe there's some stragglers in the back. Come on in, come on in. Got enough room for you. About to do our Cult Lords ratings.
Plenty of room in the lair.
Yep, about to show everybody what we have reviewed this movie. But, Dane, before I get to our Cult Lords ratings, I always like to share what the Rotten Tomatoes scores are, right?
The Rotten Tomatoes, yes.
And I don't look at this until after I've seen the movie and I'm preparing for this. So
and as a reminder, we do not discuss this ahead of time. We don't know what the Rotten Tomatoes scores are, and even though we previously had talked about our review, this is a fresh one that we have not said, what are we going to do here? So we're giving ourselves latitude to change our score from our original 15-minute out of the movie score. So our raw dog score.
Our raw dog
move.
All right. So the Rotten Tomatoes score, the critics scored this a 63%.
63.
Yes.
Okay.
But the audience score for this was 63%.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Exactly the same?
Did I just see two cats run by? What?
That is strange.
They are the same rating.
Eerie to match up with the movie.
I don't know if I've ever seen that before, to be exactly on the same number.
Right. I mean, the odds of that happening are probably pretty, in this particular case, pretty astronomical.
So now,
assuming somebody's manipulating.
So now when we did our raw dog scores, and you can go back and you can watch the full, I think it's a 6-minute video of us walking out of the Matrix at the IMAX theater and giving our initial raw score. But we didn't have time to digest that and redigest that.
Yes.
So we have now. So let's see what our new... so I was going to say, my score in that review was 7.9.
Right.
Your score was 7.8.
Yeah.
Let's see if that has changed.
Okay.
So on the count of 3, Dane, let's review.
All right. Here we go.
1, 2, 3.
Whoa! Give me the blue pill, please.
Agent
we are very
Dane.
close.
Agent
6.5,
Dane.
6.8.
As you can see,
we both had some time to digest this feature film.
The scores have gone down. So that's because we've had time to think about it. You watched this a second time?
I watched it a second time just because I was kind of like, I need to see this again because there was just too much that happened in that first movie, and there was a lot of stuff. You're like, all right, where are all these loose threads? You feel unfulfilled.
Right.
You feel like I need to maybe watch it again. Maybe I missed something.
Right.
I might fill it in.
And you know what? Some people have asked me, including my parents, what is your rating scale based on, right? Like if a 10.0 is a perfect movie, which there is no such thing, you can always poke a hole at a movie. The 9s would be excellent movie, great all-time movie, will recommend this, want to revisit it, always highly recommend it. 8 is a really good movie, recommend it, highly entertaining. 7 to 8 would be a good movie, few flaws, but still was entertained. A 6 is maybe not that great of a movie, but had some redeeming qualities to it.
If you had nothing better to watch.
Yeah, if you had nothing better to watch. Good for a one-time watch. You'll never want to revisit it again, but it had some redeeming qualities. And then when you get to the 5s and on down, average to horrible, right? And sometime we'll post our scale of what that means. But, there was a few redeeming qualities, but I don't know if I really need to see this movie again.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only reason that anyone would really want to see this movie is because of the first one.
Right.
I mean, because and it's been so much time. I mean, if you continue a genre 2 times 10 years later, 20 years later, you're gonna be like intrigued, like, whoa, what could they have done differently? How could this pick up? Because they both died in that third movie.
Right.
You know, so there was a lot of stuff that they could have done so much better with.
Yeah.
And they had 3 screenwriters. I mean,
know.
it's like, and that means it must have been horrific. If there were 3 in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
And so they just, it just suffered because of bad screenwriting, somebody not creatively coming out with better scenes, and, I mean, the character development didn't really have to change too much there. I mean, that wasn't big
Someday
issue.
we should do a show, Dane, where we pick a few movies where we talk about how we would have loved to have seen that movie rewritten or done, differently.
Right.
Because I have, for me, like Phantom Menace in Star Wars, I have a distinct way I wish that movie had gone. But
right.
And then that prequel trilogy.
And the scary thing is, it seems obvious to us.
Right.
When you see a movie and you're like, and then when you end with it, you could get to watch to the end. You're like, I could have done a much better job on this movie.
We think.
Because you got to assume they had plenty of money.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're getting high-end actors and all that, and tech CGI, and
well, I think Dane.
Yes.
You need a little bit more.
Oh, do I need more of this?
Blue melange.
The blue melange.
Yeah.
All right, I'll put a little bit pinch between the two.
Oh my! I'll stay away from that.
This is like the zombies in Black Summer.
I know they do always have like they always do have the dark like tongue and stuff, right? And it's the same way in Kingdom, just to let you know.
Oh, okay.
But
where are we at with this review? We're done.
We are done. We are so done. That might be one resurrection that didn't have a happy ending. So I don't know. I guess we will see you next time. I tell you what, we do have a lot of great things coming up. Even if you saw The Matrix and maybe you didn't like the movie, at least like this video, because we need your likes. If you've just tuning into us for the first time, hit the subscribe and maybe make a comment about what you would have done different, or if we're total idiots and we're missing the boat on this and this was a great piece of work.
I would love to hear that.
I'd love to hear that rebuttal.
Fans.
I want to hear that rebuttal. So maybe you can change my mind.
Comments.
Yes.
Subscribe.
Well, we have a lot of great things coming up for season 2. Next will be the Protege. After that, Mandy. We're talking about
zombie commentary.
We're going to talk about some zombie commentary. You got our Star Wars shorts being clipped into a mix. So 1 through 5 should be out already.
Yep.
6 through 10 will be coming soon. Lots of good stuff. So make sure you subscribe.